Dear viewers, in the previous lecture, we have gone through the basics of DDoS attacks, motivation behind these attacks, and classification of DDoS attacks. In today's lecture, we will be discussing few aspects of DDoS attacks that make defending against them difficult. After that, we will focus on challenges and goals for designing an ideal defense solution. In the last part of the lecture, we will learn some of the tips that can be helpful for preventing the system from being attacked by the DDoS attackers. Let's begin by learning why DDoS problem is hard to solve. DDoS defense is a challenging issue among the cybersecurity community. The following characteristics of DDoS flooding attacks make these attacks very effective for the attacker's purpose and extremely challenging for the defense. Simplified procedures of launching these attacks. There are many DDoS tools that can be easily downloaded or otherwise obtained and set into action. They make agent recruitment and activation automatic and can be used by inexperienced users. These tools are exceedingly simple and some of them have been around for years. Still, they generate effective attacks with little or no tweaking. Next is traffic variation. The similarity of attack traffic to legitimate traffic makes separation and filtering extremely hard. Unlike other security threats that need specially crafted packets, example intrusions, worms, virus, flooding attacks need only high traffic volume and can vary packet contents and headers value at its will. Next comes the IP spoofing. IP spoofing makes the attack traffic appear as if it comes from numerous legitimate clients. This defeats many resource sharing approaches that identify a client by his IP address. If IP address were eliminated, agents could potentially be distinguished from legitimate clients by their aggressive sending patterns and their traffic could be filtered. In the presence of IP spoofing, the victim sees a lot of service initiation requests from numerous seemingly legitimate users. While the victim could easily tell those packets apart from ongoing communications with the legitimate users, it cannot distinguish new legitimate requests for service from the attack ones. Thus, the victim cannot serve any new users during the attack. If the attack is long, the damage to the victim's business is obvious. Another issue is huge volume of traffic. The high volume of attack traffic at the victim not only overwhelms the targeted resource, but makes traffic profiling hard. At such high packet rates, the defense mechanism can do only simple per packet processing. The main challenge of DDoS defense is to discern the legitimate from the attack traffic at higher packet speeds. Next is several zombies machine can be another factor. The strength of a DDoS attacks lies in numerous agent machines distributed all over the internet. With so many agents, the attacker can take and even the largest networks and he or she can vary his or her attack by deploying subsets of agents at time or sending few packets from each agent machine. Varying attack strategies defeat many defense mechanisms that attempt to trace back the attack to its source. Even the cases when the attacker does not vary the attacking machines, the mere number of agents involved makes traceback an unattractive solution. What if we knew the identities of 10,000 machines that are attacking our network? This would hardly get any closer to stopping the attack. The situation would clearly be simplified if the attacker were not able to recruit so many agents. As discussed, the general increase of internet hosts and more recently the high percentage of novice internet users suggests that pool of potential agents will only increase in future. Furthermore, the distributed internet management model makes it unlikely that any security mechanism will be widely deployed. Thus, even if we found ways to secure machines permanently and make them impervious to the attacker's intrusion attempts, it would take many years until these machines would sufficiently deploy to impact the DDoS threat. Weak spots in the internet topology. The current internet hub and spoke topology has a handful of highly connected and very well provisioned spots that relay traffic for rest of the internet. These hubs are highly provisioned to handle heavy traffic in the first place. But if these few spots were taken down by the attacker or heavily congested, the internet would grind to a halt. Amassing a large number of agent machines and generating heavy traffic passing through those hotspots would have devastating effect on global community. So in nutshell, let's face it, a flooding based DDoS attack seems like a perfect crime in the internet. Attack tools and agent machines are abundant and easily obtainable. A sufficient attack volume is likely to bring the strongest victim to its knees, and the right mixture of attack traffic along with the IP spoofing will defeat attack filtering attempts. Since numerous businesses rely heavily on the online access, taking that way is sure to inflict considerable damage to the victim. And finally, IP spoofing, numerous agent machines and lack of automated tracing mechanism across the network guarantee little to no risk to protectors of being caught. Next, we will discuss about the challenges of DDoS defense. The challenges in designing DDoS defense system fall roughly into two categories: the technical challenges and the social challenges. Technical challenges encompasses problems associated with the current internet protocol and characteristics of DDoS threat. Social challenges, on the other hand, largely pertain to the manner in which a successful technical solution will be introduced to the internet users and accepted and widely deployed by these users. The main problem that prevails in both technical and social issues is the problem of large scale. DDoS is a distributed threat that requires a myriad of overlapping solutions to various aspects of DDoS problem, which must be spread across the internet because attacking machines may be spread all over the internet. Clearly, attack streams can only be controlled if there is a point of defense between the agents and the victims. One approach is to place one defense system close to the victim so that it monitors and controls all the incoming traffic. This approach has many deficiencies, the main one being that system must be able to efficiently handle and process huge traffic volume. The other approach is to divide this workload by deploying distributed defense. Defense system must be then deployed in a widespread manner to ensure effective action for any combination of agent and victim machines. As widespread deployment cannot be guaranteed, the technical challenge lies in designing effective defenses that can provide reasonable performance even if they are sparsely deployed. The social challenge lies in designing an economic model of a defense system in a manner that motivates large-scale deployment in the internet. We will discuss first about the technical challenges. The distributed nature of DDoS attacks, similarity of the attack packets to the legitimate ones, and the use of IP spoofing represent the main technical challenge to the designing effective DDoS defense system as discussed in the previous section. In addition to that, advance of DDoS defense research has historically been hindered by the lack of attack information and absence of standardized evaluation and testing approaches. The following list summarizes and discusses technical challenges for DDoS defense. Need for distributed response at many points in the internet. There are many possible DDoS attacks, very few of which can be handled only by the victim. Thus, it is necessary to have distributed, possibly coordinated response system. It is also crucial that response be deployed at many points in the internet to cover diverse choices of agents and victims. Since the internet is administered in a distributed manner, wide deployment of any defense system or even various systems that could cooperate cannot be enforced or granted. This discourages many researchers from even considering distributed solutions. Next comes the lack of detailed attack information. It is widely believed that reporting occurrences of attack damages the business reputation of victim network. Therefore, very limited information exists about various attacks, and incidents are reported only to government organizations under obligation to keep them secret. It is difficult to design an imaginative solution to the problem if one cannot become familiar with it. Note that the attack information should not be confused with the attack tool information, which is publicly available at many internet sites. Attack information would include the attack type, time, and duration of attack, number of agents involved, if this information is known, attempted response and its effectiveness, and damages suffered. Lack of defense system benchmarks. Many vendors make bold claims that their solution completely handles the DDoS problem. There is currently no standardized approach for testing DDoS defense system that would enable their comparison and characterization. This has two detrimental influences on DDoS research. Since there is no attack benchmark, defense designers are allowed to present those tests that are most advantageous to their system, and researchers cannot compare actual performance of their solution to the existing defenses. Instead, they can only comment on design issues. Next comes the difficulty of large scale testing. DDoS defense need to be tested in a realistic environment. This is currently impossible due to the lack of large scale test beds, safe ways to perform live distributed experiments across the internet, or detailed and realistic simulation tools that can support several thousands of nodes. Claims about defense system performance are thus made based on small scale experiments or simulations are not credible. Some test beds are in use right now by DDoS researchers, example Planet Lab and Imulab. Now we will discuss about the social challenges. Many DDoS defense systems require certain deployment patterns to be effective. Those patterns fall into several categories. Complete deployment. A given system is deployed at each host, router or network in the internet. Next is continuous deployment. A given system is deployed at hosts or routers that are directly connected. Next is large scale widespread deployment. The majority of hosts in the internet deploy a given system. Complete deployment at specified points in the internet. There is a set of carefully selected deployment points. All points must deploy the proposed defense to achieve the desired security. Modification of widely deployed internet protocols such as TCP/IP or HTTP. Next, we will discuss that what are the goals necessary to have a strong and effective defense system. Following are some of DDoS defense goals which DDoS defense strategies strive to achieve. First is effectiveness. A good DDoS defense should actually defend. It should provide either effective prevention that really makes attacks impossible or effective reaction ensuring that DOS effect goes away. In the case of reactive mechanism, the response should be sufficiently quick and automated to ensure that the target does not suffer seriously from the attack. Next goal should be completeness. A good DDoS defense should handle all possible attacks. If that degree of perfection is impossible, it should at least handle a large number of them. A mechanism that is capable of handling an attack based on TCP SYN flooding but cannot offer any assistance if a ping flood arrives is clearly less valuable than a defense that can handle both styles of attack. Thus, a preventive measure like TCP SYN cookies helps but is not sufficient unless coupled with other defense mechanisms. Completeness is also required in detection and reaction. If our detection mechanism does not recognize a particular pattern of incoming packet as an attack, presumably it will not invoke any response and attack will succeed. While completeness is an obvious goal, it is extremely hard to achieve, since attackers are likely to develop new types of attacks specially designed to bypass existing defense. Moreover, flash events discussed need clear-cut distinctions from DDoS attacks. Next is minimum collateral damage. As discussed above, the core goal of DDoS defense is not to stop DDoS attack packets, but to ensure that legitimate users can continue to perform their normal activities despite the presence of DDoS attack. Clearly, a good defense mechanism must achieve it. Some legitimate traffic may be flowing from sites that are also sending attack traffic. Other legitimate traffic is destined for nodes on same network as the target node. There may be a legitimate traffic that is neither coming from an attack machine nor being delivered to the target's network, but perhaps shares some portion of its path through the internet with some of the attack traffic. And some of the legitimate traffic may share other characteristics with the attack traffic, such as application protocol or destination port, potentially making it difficult to distinguish between them. None of these legitimate traffic categories should be distributed by the DDoS defense mechanism. However, DDoS defense mechanisms are not able to characterize DDoS traffic accurately and drop a part of legitimate traffic also. This dropping of legitimate traffic is called collateral damage. Since DDoS attackers often strive to conceal their attack traffic in the legitimate traffic stream, it is common for legitimate traffic to closely resemble the attack packets, so the problem of collateral damage is real and serious. Especially in case of flash events, protecting legitimate traffic, that is minimizing collateral damage, is very important. Next comes the low false positive rates. Defense mechanism should target only true DDoS attacks. Preventive mechanism should not have the effect of hurting other forms of network traffic. Reactive mechanism should be activated only when a DDoS attack is actually underway. A detection scheme can falsely detect an attack in a situation when no attack was actually happening. This is called false positive. These false positive cause collateral damage as they trigger the filtering mechanism when there is actually no attack. Moreover, reactive mechanisms are likely to incur some cost. The cost is in terms of extra CPU cycles, memory, and delay caused on processing of all packets. Low deployment and operational cost. DDoS defense are meant to allow systems to continue operations during DDoS attacks. The cost associated with the defense system must be commensurate with benefits provided by it. For commercial solutions, there is an obvious economic cost of buying the hardware and software required to run it. Usually, there are also significant system administration costs with setting up new security equipment or software. Depending upon the character of DDoS defense mechanism, it may require frequent ongoing administration. For example, a mechanism based on detecting signatures of particular attacks will need to receive updates as new attacks are characterized, requiring either manual or automated actions. Other operational costs relate to overheads imposed by the defense system. A system that performs stateful inspection of all incoming packets may delay each packet, for example, or a system that throttles data streams from suspicious sources may slow down any legitimate interactions with those sources. Unless such costs are extremely low or extremely rare paid, they must be balanced against benefits of achieving some degrees of protection against DDoS attacks. How we can defend against these attacks? Our next part of discussion will focus on the defense. DDoS defense modules are shown in the figure. Generally, there are four broad categories of defense against DDoS attacks. First is attack prevention, second is attack detection, third is attack source identification, and fourth is attack reaction. Attack prevention aims to stop attacks before they can reach their target. It refers to the filtering spoofed packets close to or at the attack sources, which is one of the most effective defense approaches for DOS attacks that use spoofed traffic. Attack detection aims to detect DOS attacks when they occur. Attack detection is an important procedure to direct any further action. It is the process of detecting the attack based on the traffic feature distribution. Signature-based detection techniques are not applied for DDoS defense due to ever-changing nature of signature of attacks. Anomaly-based detection techniques are suitable for this purpose. Next is attack source identification, which aims to locate the attack sources regardless of whether the source address field in which packet contains enormous information. It is a crucial step to minimize the attack damage and provide prevention to the potential attackers. Next comes the attack reactions, which aims to eliminate or curtail the effects of an attack. It is the final step in defending against DOS attacks and therefore determines the overall performance of the defense mechanism. The challenge of the attack reaction is, however, to filter an attack traffic without disturbing the legitimate traffic. In the last part of the discussion, we will learn some of the important tips which helps us to protect our system from being attacked by DDoS. First is implement router filters. This will lessen your exposures to certain denial of service attacks. Additionally, it will aid in preventing users on your network from effectively launching certain denial of service attacks. Second, if they are available for your system, install patches to guard against TCP/SYN flooding. This will substantially reduce your exposure to those attacks but may not eliminate the risk entirely. Third is disable any unused or unneeded network services. This can limit the ability of an intruder to take advantage of those services to execute a denial of service attack. Next is enable quota systems on your operating system if they are available. For example, if your operating system supports disk quotas, enable them for all accounts, especially accounts that operate network services. In addition, if your operating system supports partitions or volume, consider partitioning your file system so as to separate critical functions from other activities. Next is observe your system performance and establish baselines for ordinary activity. Next, use the baselines to gauge unusual levels of disk activity, CPU usage or network traffic. Next, routinely examine your physical security with respect to your current needs. Consider servers, routers, unattended terminals, network access points, wiring closets, environmental systems such as air and power, and other components of your system. Next, use tripwire or similar tool to detect changes in the configuration information or other files. Next, invest in redundant and fault-tolerant network configurations. Establish and maintain regular backup schedules and policies, particularly for important configuration information. Next, establish and maintain appropriate password policies, especially access to highly privileged accounts such as Unix root or Microsoft Windows administration. At last, I would like to conclude that DDoS attacks is a devastating attack among the cyber community, and the defense to this attack is eluded so far, though there are many academic and commercial solutions present in the market. In this lecture, we have discussed some of the factors that made DDoS attack problem harder to solve. We have also learned some of the key challenges and goals for designing an ideal defense solution. Some tips to manage your system against these attacks are also highlighted. Thank you all.